This film is purely fictional. Please do not imitate it. Your like and subscribe are the motivation for me to update. Chapter 858 I1. Su Feng. You? What are you thinking? How can you go back to the manor now? Didn't we finally escape? Apple Pie pressed Zhu Shizhou's shoulder and asked hurriedly. Even if she had admitted that her brain couldn't keep up with Zhu Shizhou's thinking. The road Zhu Shizhou mentioned was a dead end no matter how she thought about it. Is this guy a fool? Why would he go back to die? It's simply unreasonable. Zhu Shizhou smiled and said, Don't worry. The reason you think this is a dead end is because you lack information. He looked at Su Feng. He saw it clearly. Su Feng was indeed stunned for a moment. Although he recovered quickly, he noticed it. That's right. This step was not within Su Feng's calculation range. Apple Pie took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and said, Tell me, what do you think? How do you think Su Feng left a backhand? How to leave a backup plan? Of course, you should inform the black soldiers you trust in advance. How many people are there? Judging from the current situation, many black soldiers are deliberately cooperating with us. If Su Feng really wants to inform the black soldiers he trusts in advance, how many people should he inform in advance? You still don't know Su Feng. Su Feng has an almost fanatical obsession with keeping intelligence secret. And he will never take such a stupid action of notifying a large number of people. So he deliberately got kidnapped. The intelligence should have only been told to a few people. Who is that person? Apple Pie was convinced again, and followed Zhu Shizhou's thoughts. And then was shocked. Could it be Da Vinci? Don't get me wrong. This is not a logical speculation, but a speculation based on Zhu Shizhou's current anti-logical actions. Zhu Shizhou is going back to the manor. And the only elite black soldier she knows in the manor is Da Vinci, who has appeared frequently in recent times. So she can only guess that Zhu Shizhou thinks Su Feng left the information to Da Vinci. That's right. Zhu Shizhou also nodded in agreement. But why do you think it was him? Zhu Shizhou glanced at Su Feng. Because Su Feng killed Feng Zheng and Sheng Jing when he left the manor. Su Feng's expression did not change. I didn't think well at the time. But afterward I calmed down and thought about it. And found a problem. Feng Zheng and Sheng Jing didn't have to die. If Su Feng's purpose at the time was just to get kidnapped on purpose, then he only needed to tell Feng Zheng and Sheng Jing and let them act together, so that they could not only avoid death, but also provide corresponding help in the subsequent search work. Why did Su Feng kill them when it was such a good thing? There must be some reason why he had to get rid of them to achieve his goal. Da Vinci. Apple Pie murmured. They have always suspected that Da Vinci was a traitor. If Commander Su disappeared, they would first suspect Da Vinci. But why did Commander Su choose Da Vinci instead of the kite and the Bible? Zhu Shizhou's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. I need a suitable reason for my long disappearance. And Da Vinci is a perfect person to blame. For example, if I let Da Vinci announce to the public that I was sent by him to perform a secret mission, I can successfully clean myself up and come back to shore. Apple Pie couldn't help but sigh. You are a fucking genius. Su Feng said at this time, but Da Vinci won't believe it so easily. If you want him to cooperate, you have to show evidence. Zhu Shizhou said. What if he believes it or not? What he needs is not evidence, but a reason to follow my arrangement. You are in my hands now, and I will not let him meet you in the future. He must choose to believe me and believe that everything is under your control. And Zhu Shizhou suddenly stopped, stretched out his hand to pull out the gun from his waist, and put it against Su Feng's forehead. And? Who said I don't have evidence? Su Feng. Record a recording of giving instructions to Da Vinci immediately. Otherwise I will kill you. Apple Pie was stunned for a moment, then hurried forward to grab Zhu Shizhou. Wait. You? Don't do this. There is no benefit in killing Commander Su. If we encounter danger in the future, we will have to rely on Commander Su to come forward. Su Feng looked at Zhu Shizhou calmly. I'm curious. Zhu Shizhou. If I refuse, will you really kill me? Zhu Shizhou put his finger on the trigger. You don't believe it? Don't doubt it. My awareness is stronger than ever. Maybe I will regret it later. But now, as long as you refuse, I will definitely kill you. Silence. Su Feng couldn't judge, because rationality can be speculated, but emotion can't. He couldn't judge whether Zhu Shizhou was bluffing or acting on impulse. Has it come to this? Su Feng sighed. He had guessed that things wouldn't be so easy to succeed, so he had made several speculations about Zhu Shizhou's reaction. So naturally, He also had a backup plan for this situation. That was a long time ago. In order to deal with it later, he had to talk to Zhu Shizhou, who could predict the future. Superpower. A backup plan for the hostile situation. Zhu Shizhou, Su Feng said calmly. If you kill me, your parents and sister will die too. Apple Pie and Du Fei were both shocked and looked at Zhu Shizhou. However, Zhu Shizhou suddenly laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. Su Feng. Su Feng. I knew you wouldn't really put yourself in danger. Getting yourself tied up was part of your plan. So you must have prepared a backup plan for yourself to survive. I know you are such a person. This is a path that must be prepared. Zhu Shizhou. I have already issued an order to the black soldiers. As long as I die or my whereabouts are unknown for more than a month, your family will be killed by the black soldiers. So, do you still want to do it now? Hearing this, Zhu Shizhou not only did not stop, but put his right hand into his hair and pulled it back hard, so that his eyes could be clearly seen by Su Feng. Su Feng, do you think that you have imagined a situation of hostility with me and left a backup plan? But I have not imagined this situation. Su Feng saw that Zhu Shizhou's eyes were filled with coldness and determination. Without any hesitation. From the moment I was caught by you and forced to cooperate with you, I have been preparing for today. What I imagined is that if my family is caught by you as a handle, then what choice should I make? Now I will tell you the answer. It doesn't matter. You can kill me if you want. That won't be a reason for me to hesitate. You can't stop me from doing what I want to do. Hearing this, Su Feng, for the first time in his life, seriously examined his previous judgment of Zhu Shizhou's feelings. He previously believed that all of Zhu Shizhou's actions so far were based on the safety of his family. Now it seems that he has become fully aware of this. Zhu Shizhou has probably thought about similar questions thousands of times in his mind. The entanglement, pain, and hesitation that should have occurred have long disappeared in the repeated thinking. There was another silence of dozens of seconds. You passed. Su Feng was silent for a long time before finally saying this. So what order do you want me to give to Da Vinci? Zhu Shizhou turned around and searched for the recording device in his arms. Wait a minute. I'll find the recording device first. The reason he turned around was to prevent Su Feng from seeing the hint of a smile on his face. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it at all. Su Feng. I won. Since entering the Black Soldier training base, I have never tried to contact my family once. And when I contacted you, I didn't ask about their recent situation. I was prepared for today's situation, including what I did in the dark underground palace before graduating from the training base. You believe it, right? You already believe that I have been transformed into the way you want, right? I am already convinced that what I am showing now is exactly what you want. This time you lose. Su Feng. When he turned around, Zhu Shizhou held a mobile phone with a blank expression. Next. Record as I said. Chapter 859 Return to the Manor. Inside the manor. Compared to sending out the black soldiers to obstruct the search, Da Vinci's actions seemed to be quite peaceful. He did nothing but stayed in the underground command room, and did not go anywhere. He was so peaceful that many black soldiers in charge of surveillance felt relieved. However, Da Vinci did not do nothing. He was also thinking and analyzing who took Commander Su away. The bodies of Feng Kite and Bible have been confirmed. They are indeed dead. Since all this is part of Commander Su's plan, Commander Su used the deaths of these two people to achieve his goal. In other words, there is a person that Commander Su believes must be protected even at the cost of 2 elite black soldiers. Who is that person? What kind of plan is Commander Su considering? Is it okay to ignore the turmoil in New York? No. The entire New York? Come to think of it, it's not that I have no clue. The root cause of this incident is Apple Pie. And the enemy's invasion of the manor is probably for Apple Pie. So, is it really that guy? The person who betrayed Apple Pie and colluded with her. Prophet. Apple Pie was born in the headquarters. And so was the prophet. Da Vinci wrote these 2 words on the paper while thinking. But even if what he guessed was the truth, he was powerless now, and could only be temporarily under house arrest here, and could do nothing. Just as Da Vinci was thinking this, suddenly, the communicator made a sizzling noise. The communication was restored shortly after the supporting black soldiers arrived at the manor. Because the supporting black soldiers found and cleared all the signal blocking devices in the manor. Although Da Vinci did not have actual command power now, he could still passively accept the search intelligence of the black soldiers searching outside. Lord Da Vinci. Da Vinci casually spun his pen. Speak. The person who took Commander Sue away. No. It was Lord Prophet. Lord Prophet. He's back. He stopped spinning his pen. Da Vinci paused. Even his breathing stopped for a moment. What did you say? Repeat it. Lord Prophet has returned to the manor. Speak of the devil. Here comes the devil. Da Vinci sat up straight. But what is going on? Is he walking into a trap? Or were all the previous guesses wrong? And the prophet is innocent? No. Before that? What should be concerned about is why the guy who disappeared for a long time suddenly appeared outside the manor. What is his purpose? A series of questions instantly popped up in Da Vinci's mind. What's the situation around you now? How many people are there on the other side? Can you judge their position? Da Vinci asked immediately. At present, I am the only one who encountered the prophet. I met him suddenly during the patrol. No one else knows about it yet. There are 2 people on the other side. And the other one is Apple Pie. Da Vinci. This guy is really bold. No matter what his purpose is for appearing outside the manor. The fact that he dared to bring Apple Pie already says it all. Commander Sue took Apple Pie with him when he left the manor. And now the prophet is returning with Apple Pie. Which is ironclad evidence that he cannot be unrelated to this matter. Did the prophet say what he wanted to do? Da Vinci asked. Yes. In the communication, the black soldier's tone became strange. But the prophet said that all this was a plan given by Commander Sue. And you are also aware of it. He wants to see you now. This guy, bring him in. Yes. Da Vinci is about to be messed up. Which is different from what Commander Sue said. Commander Sue told him to disrupt the search. And then take Commander Sue's people away to escape from the siege. But there was no mention of the other party returning to the manor. What is going on? Sir Prophet. Sir Da Vinci said he would take you in. Then please follow me. The black soldier ended the communication and said respectfully to the man in front of him. Apple Pie was watching from the side and was amazed. I didn't expect you were right. Commander Sue had indeed informed Da Vinci in advance. Otherwise things wouldn't have gone so smoothly. But have you ever thought about what if you guessed wrong? Wouldn't we be walking into a trap? Zhu Sergio replied. Our current situation is not much different from walking into a trap. Apple Pie. If Da Vinci really has other ideas, then we are undoubtedly looking for death now. But since Su Feng chose Da Vinci, it proves that Da Vinci will be controlled by us. After all, Su Feng is still in Du Fei's hands, which is our most important bargaining chip. This is really worrying. However, Apple Pie has been convinced by Zhu Sergio's confrontation with Commander Sue in the forest. Now no matter what kind of worries there are, we can only trust this guy. Returning to the manor is not a difficult task. After breaking through the encirclement, Zhu Sergio took her around in the woods, and left the forest as if nothing had happened, and arrived at the outskirts of the manor. Outside the manor, Zhu Sergio observed for a long time, and finally found a black soldier during a patrol, and forced the black soldier to contact Da Vinci. Now the black soldier led them into the manor, and headed deep into the manor. Unexpectedly, Apple Pie's sixth sense did not react at all. Was it because the sixth sense became dull, and could not detect danger? Or was there no danger on this trip? Apple Pie glanced at the man next to her. All her sense of security came from him. Zhu Sergio's decisive and firm attitude without hesitation made her subconsciously convinced that there would be no danger on this trip. Apple Pie gave up thinking. Please go this way. The black soldier leading the way clearly knew the patrol routes of other black soldiers in the manor, and took Zhu Sergio and Apple Pie around the manor. Although the speed was not fast, they approached the courtyard steadily. Soon, the 3 of them stopped in a green belt outside the courtyard. The black soldier hid behind a tree and said to Zhu Sergio, I can only take you here. There is a hidden mobile team ahead. There is no flaw in their encirclement protection, and I can't make them give way. I will contact Lord Da Vinci first to see if I can create an opportunity. No need. Zhu Sergio stopped He Bing. I will think of a way next. You go back to your original position first. Yes. Although He Bing thought that there was no way to sneak in and see Lord Da Vinci quietly, Lord Prophet said it so confidently, so he could only accept the order. After He Bing left, Zhu Sergio closed his eyes and spread pheromones towards the atrium. Apple Pie asked, What are you going to do? At 2 o'clock, 3 people at 10 o'clock, 2 people at 8 o'clock, 7 people. There are 3 teams farther away. If the nearest team notices something unusual, it will take at least 30 seconds to come and check. There is plenty of time. Zhu Sergio muttered to himself. And after repeatedly confirming the next action in his mind, he answered Apple Pie's question. How to do it? Of course. Hide the pheromone. Don't make any noise. Divide and conquer. Apple Pie looked weird. Hide the pheromone in front of the hidden mobile force and sneak attack them? Can you do it? Chapter 860 solved them one by one. Apple Pie thought it was impossible to conceal her pheromones and sneak attack a group of concealed mobile forces who were good at concealment. Even if she could successfully sneak attack one or two, there was no way to avoid causing any commotion. The first problem is to accurately find their location. Are you sure you can sense it? Apple Pie had a strange expression. Anyway, she had sensed for a long time, but could not sense the existence of the concealed mobile forces, let alone accurately point out the location of those black soldiers, like Zhu Shizhou. Zhu Shizhou didn't waste time explaining, leaving a sentence. You just watch first. After that, his figure retreated and soon disappeared behind a green belt. Apple Pie didn't dare to act rashly. Seeing that Zhu Shizhou had no intention of hesitating, she could only choose to believe him and hold the gun tightly in her hand. If a battle broke out, she couldn't shrink here and wait for death. She just hoped that Zhu Shizhou wouldn't brag. Zhu Shizhou didn't brag. The more he went back, the more Zhu Shizhou realized how terrifying his pheromones had reached. Since the birth of pheromones, he has been exploring the characteristics of pheromones. And only recently did he truly understand and master everything that pheromones can do. Of course, he can't do things that are too fantasy. But things like hiding one's own pheromones, or deceiving the pheromone perception of black soldiers who are good at reconnaissance, and strolling in other people's pheromone fields without being noticed. Such things are easy for Zhu Shizhou now. The reason why he made such a boast is because Zhu Shizhou believes that he can do it. Nothing more. Because he could recognize how strong his pheromones were. He knew that these hidden mobile forces black soldiers could not stop him. Zhu Shizhou randomly chose a direction where the pheromones in the air were relatively weak and walked quietly, just like taking a walk. But he also used various shelters to block the observation of the hidden mobile forces black soldiers. Pheromones can not only detect danger, but also detect the existence of sights, at least for Zhu Shizhou. Sight. It is also a type of information that can be sensed by his pheromones. 50 meters ahead, there is a black soldier hiding in a tree. His sight is facing this way, and he cannot move for the time being. The sight has moved away. Okay. Move quickly. Zhu Shizhou quickly and easily flashed out of the bunker and arrived behind the next bunker. The black soldier on the tree in the distance only scanned his sight to the left for less than a second. And when he moved his sight back, Zhu Shizhou had already moved to another position. Are there black soldiers in front of the left and right? These two are fixed point surveillance, and there is no blind spot in their vision. In this case, Zhu Shizhou touched his pocket and took out a bullet from it. He didn't want to shoot here, but just wanted to make some noise to divert the attention of the black soldiers. He casually shot it far away, under the strong finger force. Although the bullet was not triggered, its speed was no less than that of an ordinary bullet. It burst into a crisp sound in the air and shot into a bush not far away with a swoosh. The black soldiers in front of the left and right reacted quickly, and almost instantly turned their sights to the bushes. But the next second, they quickly moved their sights back, as if nothing had changed. But Zhu Shizhou had already calmly turned into the blind spot of the two fixed black soldiers. First, approached this black soldier from behind. Zhu Shizhou condensed his own pheromones. Although he had a very high concentration of pheromones, he did not leak any breath, and quietly came to the back of a black soldier hiding in the bushes. The palm of his hand contained a ball of high concentration pheromones, and he slapped the black soldier directly. This was a trick he had used on Wall Street, which could easily make a black soldier unconscious. There was no other fancy operation. It was just so simple and crude. When the black soldier heard the slight sound of wind, it was too late. His body just bounced a little, but was held down by a big hand. And then he lost consciousness instantly. Too easy. Zhu Shizhou forced the pheromones into the black soldier's body, helped the limp black soldier, and slowly put him down. Then he looked at the black soldier under him, hesitated for only a moment, and then took off the black soldier's black soldier uniform and put it on. Due to the sudden disappearance of Commander Su, the alert level in the manor was much higher, and all the black soldiers of the hidden mobile force changed into black soldier uniforms. The black soldier was about the same size as him. After Zhu Shizhou changed his clothes, he put on the helmet mask and sensed the pheromone of the unconscious black soldier. The next moment, the pheromone aura and intensity around him fluctuated, and he imitated the opponent's pheromone exactly in just a few seconds. If I were to go back to the Black Soldier base now, it wouldn't be difficult to become an instructor. Zhu Shurjiu was still in the mood to make a joke. But is that really the case? The Black Soldier pheromones of these concealed mobile forces together form a pheromone field in this area. If the pheromones of a Black Soldier suddenly disappear, it will attract their attention. Fortunately, I was prepared. Zhu Shurjiu split a part of his own pheromone, casually injected it into the body of the Black Soldier under him, and extracted a pheromone thread from it and connected it to himself. In this way, even if he was acting remotely, he could transmit pheromones continuously through this extremely thin pheromone thread to maintain pheromone fluctuations and avoid revealing flaws. This was a trick that Apple Pie was good at. He succeeded after imitating it with almost no effort. Next, Zhu Shurjiu used the same method to create a movement. After diverting the attention of the Black Soldiers, it was time for him to act. Although the method was old-fashioned and the effective time was very short, it was indeed useful. Zhu Shurjiu continuously found the positions of the Black Soldiers one after another, appeared behind them like a ghost, and quietly bombarded each of them with a pheromone group. In just a few minutes, more and more pheromone threads were connected to Zhu Shurjiu, and his speed of attack became faster and faster, until he came behind the last Black Soldier and shot out a pheromone ball forward. He no longer concealed his movements, because there was no need. This Black Soldier was much stronger than the previous Black Soldiers, and he had time to say a few words. But it was useless. Zhu Shurjiu slapped him on the forehead with a palm, and the Black Soldier fell down directly with blurred eyes. After doing all this, Zhu Shurjiu walked out from behind a tree and waved in the direction of Apple Pie. "Come out. I've dealt with him." The breeze blew, but there was no movement. Zhu Shurjiu had no choice but to walk over, parted the grass, and saw Apple Pie, who was looking around with his neck shrunk as if facing a great enemy. "I told you it's okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to take back the pheromone." Zhu Shurjiu slapped his forehead, then waved his hand, and the pheromone that was permeating the air disappeared in an instant. Although Apple Pie could not accurately detect the existence of the hidden Black Soldiers, she was able to distinguish the danger in the air. Just now, she still felt that the danger in the air was still there. But with Zhu Shurjiu's wave of his hand, the threat disappeared immediately. "You really did it." Apple Pie then walked out of the bushes and said in disbelief, "Let's go to see Da Vinci." Apple Pie hurriedly followed Zhu Shurjiu, and seeing that Zhu Shurjiu had no hidden thoughts, he hurriedly asked, "Are there no more Black Soldiers ahead? Should we advance in secret?" "There are Black Soldiers, but it's not a big problem." "Do you think that Da Vinci is the only one under house arrest?" Apple Pie was still thinking about what Zhu Shurjiu meant by this sentence, and Zhu Shurjiu gave a direct answer. Da Vinci also has his confidants. These confidants naturally cannot patrol the periphery like nothing happened. They are also under house arrest like Da Vinci. It's called protecting Da Vinci. But in fact, they are also being followed by the hidden mobile force in the courtyard. "What do you mean?" Zhu Shurjiu strode forward. "That's right. There is no need to worry about the Black Soldiers ahead. They are all Da Vinci's people. They will take us to see Da Vinci." Chapter 861 Coercion. Zhu Shurjiu was right. When he and Apple Pie no longer concealed their tracks and moved deeper into the atrium, they met other Black Soldiers on the way. The other Black Soldiers were only slightly stunned when they saw the two of them, and then pretended not to see them and automatically bypassed them. When they approached the building where the underground command room was located, a Black Soldier appeared out of nowhere and appeared in front of the two. "Please follow me. Master Da Vinci has been waiting in the command room for a long time." Zhu Shurjiu nodded, followed the Black Soldier into the building, and was then taken to the door of the familiar underground command room. Returning to the old place, it was a different mood. Apple Pie looked at the closed door with some emotion. Her entanglement with Zhu Shurjiu and Da Vinci started from here. If she had known that it would fall to this point, she would have refused the mission at all. Zhu Shurjiu did not have any extra emotions. The Black Soldier knocked on the door rhythmically, as if he had agreed on some secret code with Da Vinci inside. After a while, a cough was heard in the command room. The Black Soldier leading the way nodded and pushed open the door. Zhu Shurjiu smiled and walked in first. "Da Vinci, is it necessary to make it so complicated?" Da Vinci shook his head and replied, "This is a necessary matter. Before the door is opened, I can't confirm the situation outside. It is reasonable to adopt different plans to deal with the actual situation. Especially when facing some major problems, you must be extra cautious. Hearing Da Vinci's words, Zhu Shizhou smiled and looked back. The black soldier behind him had already left the room and closed the door. Zhu Shizhou then turned to look at Da Vinci. Then, let's talk. Da Vinci didn't seem to be in a hurry at all. He sat calmly on the chair, leaning back in a comfortable posture. Prophet, I heard from the black soldier that you are the real murderer who kidnapped Commander Su. It's really shocking. Can this be true? First, Da Vinci wanted to confirm Zhu Shizhou's degree of knowledge. Although Commander Su was indeed missing and left a letter for him, Commander Su did not tell Da Vinci the identity of the kidnapper. So he was not sure whether Commander Su was in Zhu Shizhou's hands. So now facing Zhu Shizhou who came to him, he was not sure what role Zhu Shizhou played, whether he was a chess piece or a chess player. This needed to be determined. However, in the face of Da Vinci's temptation, Zhu Shizhou said bluntly, "Don't play dumb with me. Before I came, your men had already made it clear to you. Right? Su Feng is in my hands." Da Vinci narrowed his eyes. Zhu Shizhou continued, "If you don't understand, you can ask me, but I can't guarantee that I will answer truthfully." Da Vinci tapped the table with his finger. "I need proof." Zhu Shizhou took out his mobile phone from his pocket and played the recording. Although it is technically easy to fake recordings nowadays, after listening to the recording, Da Vinci no longer doubted it. The long-lost genius suddenly returned when Commander Su disappeared, holding a recording of Commander Su's orders. It can be basically confirmed that Commander Su is indeed in Zhu Shizhou's hands. There is nothing strange about Commander Su's recording. It's just that the current situation is difficult to explain, and he needs to cooperate with Zhu Shizhou and obey Zhu Shizhou's command. After listening to the recording, Da Vinci asked, "Is all this Commander Su's plan?" Zhu Shizhou: "Yes." "When did it start?" "Since I came to New York." "So early? All your actions in New York were instructed by Commander Su?" "Yes." "Including your disappearance and stirring up trouble between the Black Soldier Organization and the U.S. military in New York. Was it Commander Su who asked you to do this?" "Yes." "Why?" "For the smooth implementation of the Zerd plan." "Explain more clearly." Da Vinci: "You don't have enough authority. How much do you know about the Zerd plan?" "The Zerd plan is to turn all Americans into Zergs. Use the huge pheromone bait of all the Zergs to attract the alien Zergs from all over the world. And finally use the Continental Annihilation weapon to eliminate the Zergs in one fell swoop. Before that, in order to eliminate all unstable factors, the rat eradication operation was carried out in the United States." "Why did Commander Su ask you?" "Because I..." Quick questions and quick answers. In just a few tens of seconds, Da Vinci started with simple questions and threw out several questions in succession, without giving Zhu Shizhou any time to think. From simple to complex, the questions became more and more tricky. Under normal circumstances, such continuous questioning would inevitably lead to flaws and logical loopholes. But Zhu Shizhou, who had been prepared, was not the first time to encounter such a situation. Facing all kinds of questions from Da Vinci, he answered fluently, and did not look like he was lying at all. Although Apple Pie, who was watching from the side, also knew part of the inside story. The more she listened, the more she was shaken. In the end, even she could not figure out whether Zhu Shizhou was telling the truth or lying, and she was half believing and half doubting. "Is that so? As a result, you are the chess piece chosen by Commander Su, the agent who disrupts the situation to eliminate the traitors in the Black Soldier Organization and unify the thoughts of the Black Soldier Organization. Is that right?" Finally, it became like this. After Da Vinci finished his summary, he showed a weird expression to Zhu Shizhou. "Prophet, Zhu Shizhou, are you treating me like a fool? In fact, you are indeed like a fool when you lack sufficient intelligence." Zhu Shizhou said frankly, "You don't even know how easy it is for me to plan the attack on the manor and disrupt the situation in New York several times. If Su Feng hadn't chosen you, you would not have the ability or qualifications to participate in our plan. You..." Da Vinci was speechless and began to doubt his own judgment. "If you want me to show more evidence, then I can only say that you don't have enough authority. So mutual suspicion is just a waste of time." Da Vinci: "All you can do now is to follow my pace," Zhu Shizhou said, and turned on the communicator. A woman's voice came from the communicator. "Hello? Is the negotiation over?" It's not a negotiation, but a unilateral declaration. Let Su Feng speak. Okay. Russell. Da Vinci heard the clear sound of rain. And then, the familiar voice of Commander Su came from the communicator. Zhu Sergio. Okay. It's okay. Zhu Sergio ended the communication without waiting for Su Feng to say anything. And then looked at Da Vinci. Da Vinci. You seem to have misunderstood a little. Our current relationship is not that of equal partners, but that of the coercer and the coerced. Su Feng is in my hands. If you don't care, or don't agree with my arrangement, I will remotely command my men to kill that bastard Su Feng. Da Vinci looked at Zhu Sergio calmly. Do you know how big a deal you are doing? Zhu Sergio smiled. Do you know how big a deal I am doing? Apple Pie looked at the two people staring at each other in fear. Although she stood on Zhu Sergio's side, she couldn't help trembling when she thought of the possibility that Zhu Sergio might really kill Commander Su if Da Vinci refused to compromise. In her opinion, Zhu Sergio was getting more and more crazy. Anyway, she couldn't understand Zhu Sergio. She also believed that Zhu Sergio would really do it. Da Vinci. You must not be stupid. But Prophet, you don't even know how to make up a decent excuse? You should pretend to be more convincing. Right? What you said just now was no different from a showdown. As the three of them were silent, the air in the command room became dead silent. Apple Pie could only hear his own heartbeat. And the scene became more and more serious. Chapter 862, A Bold Plan. Da Vinci didn't know how to describe his current mood. Well, objectively speaking, he really didn't have any mood to speak of because his emotions were wiped out. But he could conclude that if he still had emotions, he would definitely be so angry at Zhu Sergio's irresponsible words that he would have a cerebral hemorrhage. What did this guy think of Commander Su? Without Commander Su, how could the black soldiers resist the alien insects? How could the final salvation plan be implemented smoothly? Did he understand the consequences of doing all this? Also, objectively speaking, Da Vinci had to admit that he was controlled by him. You who have committed such a heinous crime, I'm sure you won't be persuaded by a few words from me. After a while, Da Vinci sighed. A very wise judgment. So what are you going to do now? Call people in to surround me and kill me here? Or be a wiser person and compromise with me? Commander Su is a treasure of mankind. I hope you can understand this. The salvation plan is only one step away. And it is almost possible to save the world. I am also very clear about this. Zhu Sergio calmly interrupted Da Vinci's words. Although he also knew another point. Da Vinci, who had lost his emotions, could not understand the cruelty of using the lives of ordinary people as a tool to save human civilization. Billions of ordinary people will die for Su Feng's cruel plan. And in the end, only the fire of human civilization in elimination can be preserved. Most of the black soldiers will agree with both hands and feet. After all, their humanity has been forcibly annihilated. If he had not preserved his emotions in the black soldier training base, he might have been quietly forced to step into Su Feng's rational trap without knowing it, and would have become a part of Su Feng's plan. Da Vinci had no way of understanding this. But he didn't need Da Vinci to understand. Da Vinci looked at Zhu Sergio deeply, and then finally nodded in compromise. I understand. I will obey you. But instead, Commander Su must not be in trouble. At least before the salvation plan is successfully implemented. He must not be in trouble. Zhu Sergio nodded. I can promise you. Da Vinci put his hands on the table and leaned forward to create a sense of oppression. But before that, I want to confirm. Prophet, what is your purpose? Stop Su Feng's salvation plan. That's impossible. This time it was Da Vinci's turn to interrupt Zhu Sergio. Commander Su's salvation plan is not something that can be done overnight. And it has already reached the final stage. To put it bluntly, there is not even a 0.1% chance of stopping the plan. Heh. I think so too. Otherwise, Su Feng would never put himself in danger. He must have calculated the timing and determined that the outcome could not be changed before he was willing to be captured by him. Since this is impossible, then tell the truth. Da Vinci. Zhu Sergio slowly walked to Da Vinci's desk, also put his hands on the desk, and said to Da Vinci with a smile, My goal is to use your power to make me the protagonist of Su Feng's plan to save the world. Protagonist? In the play designed by Su Feng, there is a place for me. When the transformation of insects into humans is inevitable, the alien insects all over the world will stage a hellish scene of insect tides. Whoever can kill more alien insects will become the next hero. This is the stage designed by Su Feng for all the black soldiers. And also for me. Da Vinci. In order for me to stand on the highest peak, I need your strength. Your status as an elite black soldier. Intelligence. Connections. Influence. I want you to do everything you can to help me shine brighter than any other black soldier. I want to be the most prominent protagonist in this play. Think about it. Da Vinci. Humans have been weak for too long. Now is the time to resist. Humans need a strong person who can represent them to slaughter the Zerg. That person must be me. Da Vinci was already dumbfounded. He had thought about everything. He had thought that Zhu Shizhou was a hidden agent of the hostile organization. That Zhu Shizhou was a secret weapon of the rebellious faction secretly cultivated within the organization. And that Zhu Shizhou was the representative of Commander Su and was just acting with him. But no matter what, he had not thought enough. Zhu Shizhou actually kidnapped Commander Su in order to become the next hero of mankind. This man must be crazy. Just for this reason. That's enough reason. Da Vinci. As I said before, I'm not seeking cooperation from you now, but giving you orders. All you can do is obey. Da Vinci swallowed inexplicably. I know. But, Da Vinci touched the side and almost didn't touch the water cup. After drinking a sip of water, Da Vinci continued, but the problem now is that you want to use my identity to do something. But my current situation is not very good. I am under house arrest in the manor as the first suspect. If there is no way to reverse this situation, I'm afraid I can't play a big role. I've already thought about this. Zhu Shizhou smiled at Da Vinci. If you want to get rid of your current situation, you have to find the person who tied the bell. The solution is actually very simple. Just let you find Su Feng. Isn't it? Da Vinci? Not only Da Vinci, but even Apple Pie beside him looked at Zhu Shizhou in astonishment. Didn't you hear clearly? Then let me make it clear that the situation you are under suspicion of is all because Su Feng disappeared in your territory. So the solution is very simple. As long as you find Su Feng, your suspicion will naturally be cleared. Da Vinci thought of the disguise master who pretended to be him at the beginning of the incident. Could it be a disguise? Apple Pie thought so too. However, Zhu Shizhou immediately shook his head, shattering their speculation. It's the real thing, Apple Pie said tremblingly. Could it be that you want to hand over the real Commander Su? What nonsense are you talking about? Calm down, Apple Pie. Although Da Vinci was also confused at first, he soon figured out what Zhu Shizhou wanted to do. That was a bold plan that ordinary people would never think of. So he didn't think of it at first. But after Zhu Shizhou's reminder, he still guessed it. I'm afraid what the prophet said is that you should find Commander Su. Right? Now your biggest problem is that your identity cannot be cleared. But if I, as a middleman, come forward to give you an identity for a secret operation, and you show up with Commander Su, as long as you can ensure that Commander Su cooperates with your actions, no one will suspect. You can force Commander Su to designate you as guards, just like the kite and the Bible before, and never leave. Apple Pie wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, frightened by this crazy plan. Is that so? This is equivalent to showing stolen treasures in front of the original owner. Will it really work? This is the easiest way to clear our identities. The only problem is that all this requires Su Feng's cooperation. Apple Pie felt a little worried. But when he looked at Zhu Shizhou, why does this guy look so confident? Chapter 863. The clues left by Su Feng. When Zhu Shizhou decided to return to the manor, things were out of Su Feng's control. Su Feng found that Zhu Shizhou was bolder than he thought, and did not fit his profile of Zhu Shizhou. This happened more than once. Zhu Shizhou was growing at an astonishing speed, and as time went by, the changes were jaw-dropping. If you can compare Zhu Shizhou 3 months ago with Zhu Shizhou now, you can find that Zhu Shizhou in the two periods are completely different people except for their appearance. That's why things that were beyond Su Feng's expectations happened again and again. Even if Su Feng put himself into Zhu Shizhou's role, he couldn't predict what Zhu Shizhou was going to do. Just now, Su Feng saw Du Fei answer a phone call. Return to the manor? Su Feng looked at Du Fei in disbelief. Du Fei had no expression on her face. Yes. Zhu Shizhou asked me to take you back to the manor. She was responsible for guarding Su Feng alone. To be honest, she was under a lot of pressure, facing this man who had once brought her psychological trauma. It was impossible not to be nervous. In order to prevent this bastard from seeing her inner turmoil, she had no expression on her face throughout the whole process. Even now that she has received Zhu Shizhou's outrageous order, she still does not seem to waver. Su Feng does not want to go back. because the current situation is beyond his control. If he wants to take back the initiative, he cannot follow Zhu Shizhou's pace. So he tried to persuade Du Fei. Wait a minute. Don't you find it strange? I am obviously the bargaining chip in your hands. But now Zhu Shizhou asks you to take the most important bargaining chip back to the enemy's base camp. Du Fei agreed. It is very strange. So let's assume that the Zhu Shizhou who just talked to you is not Zhu Shizhou. Or Zhu Shizhou is in a situation where he has no choice. And this order is conveyed to you under threat. The purpose is to make you bring me to the manor. Du Fei nodded. It makes sense. Normally speaking, even if Zhu Shizhou successfully negotiates with Da Vinci, he can't bring me to Da Vinci, because the condition for his cooperation with Da Vinci is me. If he really does that, he will have to consider the risk of Da Vinci turning against him. Du Fei continued to nod. That's right. So it's obvious that this is a trap. The most important thing you need to do now is to find a way to confirm Zhu Shizhou's safety. Su Feng said it very confidently, but he didn't know Du Fei very well, and he was not sure whether these words could convince this woman. It was precisely because of his lack of understanding that he failed. Du Fei looked at Su Feng and said, Su Feng. Just now, Zhu Shizhou specifically emphasized in the call with me that if you knew this order, you would definitely try every means to make trouble to stop it. So he said, I don't believe anything you say, even if what you say makes sense. Su Feng was silent. Du Fei showed Su Feng his first grim smile other than his poker face. So follow me, Commander Su. After saying that, he grabbed Su Feng, who had no intention of resisting, and lurked towards the manor. In the woods, Ingui confirmed that he had lost the mysterious enemy. The rain really affected the traces on the ground, and the pheromones in the air had long since failed to provide any effective clues. He followed the direction the enemy left, and finally tracked to the edge of the encirclement. Confirming that the enemy had escaped the encirclement, notify the Flame Squad, Splash Squad, and Dark Cloud Squad that the enemy has escaped from the encirclement at point A. Repeat, the enemy has escaped from the encirclement. After briefly reporting the situation to the teams that formed the encirclement, Ingui was about to leave. But the next moment, his nose twitched, and he turned his head to look at a tree. The smell of blood is very faint. Is it an illusion? He approached the source of the blood smell, but could not find the source of the blood smell. After thinking for a while, he directly called a black soldier. Hound, you are in Circle B now. Right? A lazy voice came from the communicator. Yeah. What's wrong? I'll send you a coordinate. Come here and help me smell the clues. You found the clues? I'll come right away. Please hurry up. The bloody smell is about to dissipate. Bloody smell. Got it. The ghost waited for a while. And Sue? Footsteps came from not far away. It was the elite black soldier he was waiting for. Hound. Hound is a special elite black soldier, born in the reconnaissance department, and underwent olfactory transformation in Ilmunison, adjusting his sense of smell to 9 times that of ordinary black soldiers. In terms of smell alone, Hound is at the top level in the entire black soldier organization. The ghost believed that the bloody smell he could smell would definitely not escape the Hound's nose. The Hound spoke as soon as he arrived at the scene. You said it would soon dissipate. But isn't it very strong? The ghost said. I'm not talking about the bloody smell on me. But here. The Hound looked at him like an idiot. I'm talking about the bloody smell on this tree. As he said that, he took 2 steps at a time, exerted his legs and jumped easily. And the whole person flew into the air and jumped directly onto the tree trunk 10 meters above the ground. The Hound checked the tree trunk for a while and said to the ghost below, There is a blood spot here. The ghost asked, Can you smell any other clues? The Hound jumped down the tree, stepped into the puddle, and splashed a pool of water, wiped the rain off his face, and pointed outside the encirclement. Yes, there is also the smell of blood in that direction. The ghost's expression became serious. We haven't left any injuries on the enemy, so the smell of blood is unlikely to be from the enemy. So it is very likely, the Hound said calmly. Yes, it's the clue left by Commander Su. The 2 elite black soldiers looked at each other and informed their own teams. Although they reported this to other teams, it was not conclusive evidence after all. So as the only teams that had fought with the enemy and could track the smell of blood, the ghost team and the Hound team gathered their members and tracked the direction of the blood. First, here, on the ground. The Hound lay on the muddy ground, sniffing the blood on the ground like a real hound. Over there, There's also a bloody smell near this tree. It's a little stronger here. It looks like the enemy and Commander Sue have been staying here for a while. Are they discussing a retreat? Go this way. The hounds kept leading the way, tracking the direction of the traces without distraction. The Yin Ghost squad followed behind the hounds to provide escort. But soon the Yin Ghosts noticed something was wrong and stopped the hounds. This route. Wait a minute. Are you sure you're tracking correctly? The hound looked at the ghost who stopped him in confusion. What do you mean? The ghost said. Although the direction we are heading now is a little circuitous, it is indeed the direction of the manor. The hound was puzzled for a while. So we were misled by the enemy? The ghost stood there thinking for a while, thinking of Da Vinci, who was still in the manor, and seemed to have thought of something, and said to the hound, "Speed up a little. If it is really what I think, it may be a bit bad." The hound didn't understand, but he could understand. Speed up, and immediately chose the pheromone burst. This way. Chapter 864. Another big pot. The ghost and the hound followed the smell of blood all the way to the vicinity of the manor. During the tracking process, the hound did not believe that the smell of blood was going in the direction of the manor. But the more he tracked, the more obvious the smell of blood became, and finally pointed to the manor. The two stopped outside the manor for a final confirmation. "Are you sure the source of the blood smell is inside the manor?" the ghost asked. The hound said firmly, "I am sure. But the one who left the blood smell may not be Commander Sue, but may be a wounded black soldier. It is better not to rush to a conclusion." The ghost shook his head. "We found the smell of blood near the center of the encirclement. If the encirclement had not been narrowed, it would have been impossible for the black soldiers to stay there. Moreover, the smell of blood was so faint that it was almost unnoticeable. However, we have been tracking it all the way, and the smell of blood has not stopped. It is obviously a clue left deliberately. It would be too much to say that it is a coincidence." Hound. "That makes sense. So what should we do now? Did you rush back before because you figured out something?" The ghost said frankly, "I suspect Da Vinci is the mastermind." The hound had no doubts, because Commander Sue disappeared in Da Vinci's territory. So Da Vinci was naturally a big suspect. But what the ghost said was definitely not groundless speculation. And the smell of blood coming from the manor seemed to confirm this. The purpose of Da Vinci holding Commander Sue hostage is still unknown. But he is the most capable person to carry out the kidnapping. When we, the supporting black soldiers, came to assist in the search, we searched the manor thoroughly. At that time, Da Vinci ordered the kidnapper to take Commander Sue and flee outside the manor. Ingui analyzed the situation by himself. Then we put Da Vinci under house arrest. But we did not restrict the black soldiers other than Da Vinci, which made it easy for Da Vinci to send people to contact other black soldiers to do something. You should have seen it when you tracked it all the way out. There was a gap in the encirclement. I guess it was Da Vinci who sent people to contact the black soldiers and let the kidnapper go in the encirclement. Not only that, the kidnapper took Commander Sue back to the manor, avoiding the eyes and ears of the supporting black soldiers, and kidnapped without anyone noticing. If it weren't for your dog nose, a large group of black soldiers like us would probably not find anything after searching outside for a long time. The analysis is quite similar to this. But the hound was not willing to think. Anyway, if you are sure that the bloody smell in the manor was left by Commander Sue, then we better be prepared to rescue Commander Sue, even if there is no evidence. Of course, the ghost agreed. So they quickly contacted several other teams they trusted. Even though the search work cannot afford to make mistakes, in the face of more serious situations, the ghost still believed in his own judgment. However, what he didn't expect was that there happened to be someone he shouldn't trust in the team he trusted. Bone Crow also received a secret message from the ghost. The content of the message was very simple. There is a clue about Commander Sue, but it's about a traitor. Don't make a big fuss. Please ask the team that received the message to secretly go to a certain place outside the manor to meet up. Bone Crow was the team that took the initiative to create a gap in the encirclement. When he received the message from the ghost, his heart tightened, and he cursed the kidnapper for his poor brain. How could he leave clues and be discovered so quickly? However, Bone Crow's attitude at this time was also wavering. He had reluctantly helped the kidnapper based on his past relationship with Da Vinci. But if the kidnapper was really caught, he wouldn't say much. In short, he thought that everything should go with the flow, and he wouldn't help Da Vinci all the time. So he immediately sent a secret communication to Da Vinci to explain the situation, and then took the team to the outside of the manor to meet with the ghost team and the hound team. When he arrived at the meeting place, 2 other teams had already arrived. They were the Autumn Rain team and the Crazy Killing team. There were only a few teams that were summoned, and together they had 150 people. The ghost glanced at the Bone Crow team that had just arrived, and said to the Bone Crow, "Hand over the communicator for me to check first." Bone Crow was slightly startled. "What do you mean?" "To prevent traitors. We are going to break into the manor to rescue Commander Sue. So the plan cannot go wrong. I will send you a message. If you are innocent, you will only come secretly. But if there is a traitor among you, the traitor will definitely contact others after I send you a message. You will know this by checking the communicator." Bone Crow's palms were slightly sweaty, but he still forced himself to control his physiological reaction. As mentioned before, he is different from other black soldiers, because he was still performing a hidden mission before coming to support. His emotions were not wiped out, and it was easy to be exposed if he was not careful. "What's wrong? Are you hesitating?" The ghost's eyes condensed, and he stabbed at the Bone Crow like a sword. "Nothing. Take it for inspection." The Bone Crow shook his head and took out his communicator and handed it to the ghost. The ghost stared at the Bone Crow, and then checked the communicator. After just one look, the ghost suddenly raised his head. After a long silence, the ghost asked, "Why, the communication record is empty." Bone Crow said calmly, "Due to long-term undercover missions, I have the habit of deleting the records immediately after communication. So the communication records have been cleared for a long time." Of course he is not a fool. After sending the message to Da Vinci, he immediately deleted the communication record. The previous hesitation was just because he was worried that the ghost was too suspicious, not because he was really stupid enough to leave. "Evidence," the ghost said. "Bone Crow, I don't know if you are trustworthy, but I am willing to believe you." Bone Crow sneered. "Since you are willing to believe me, why do you still need to check me? Have you checked everyone else?" The ghost returned Bone Crow's communicator to Bone Crow and nodded. "Others have naturally been checked, and you are not an exception. Chiyoyu is the same as you, and there is no communication record left." Bone Crow was stunned and subconsciously looked at the captain of Chiyoyu's team. He looked at the elite black soldier Chiyoyu. The two looked at each other for only 0.01 seconds, and then they looked away. He already understood that he was not alone. Chiyoyu was also one of the elite black soldiers contacted by Da Vinci. Bone Crow put the communicator back in his arms and said, "Obviously, Chiyoyu also has a good habit of keeping secrets. Anyway, don't doubt it. Tell me, what is the clue you mentioned before about finding Commander Sue?" The ghost let Bone Crow go. To be honest, before Bone Crow arrived, he saw Chiyoyu deleted all the communication records, and he was suspicious of Chiyoyu. But the situation of Bone Crow was the same, which greatly reduced his suspicion. So he explained the situation to the team leaders. "I see." Bone Crow pretended to analyze, but his heart was broken. He never thought that the kidnappers would be so bold as to take Commander Sue back to the manor. Did they think he was not dying fast enough? Fortunately, he had a traitor who informed Da Vinci of the situation in advance. He didn't know how it would develop next, but he hoped that Da Vinci would be prepared. Underground command room. Da Vinci did receive the communication intelligence from the two elite black soldiers, Guya and Chiyoyu. At this time, Du Fei and Su Feng had already entered the manor. They had to try their best to avoid other black soldiers in the manor, under the leadership of the black soldier who led the way. If they continued at this speed, they might be caught up by Ingui and his men soon. So Da Vinci frowned all of a sudden. "We can't let Ingui and his men find Commander Sue first. You know, in their plan, they should first secretly send Commander Sue to the underground command room, and then find a way to persuade Commander Sue to cooperate with them, and then find an opportunity to act out a play to make the plot more realistic. This is the expected development. But the appearance of Ingui and others made their plan tortuous. The mastermind was not Da Vinci. Facing Da Vinci's questioning eyes, the mastermind Zhu Sergio said, "It doesn't matter. When the enemy comes, the general will stop it. When the water comes, the earth will cover it. Apple pie. It's time for you to take action." Apple pie? Although Zhu Sergio has not yet said the specific plan, she already has a bad premonition. Just like before, she vaguely feels that another big pot is about to fly over. Chapter 865 knocked out again. The roads in the manor are interconnected, and Da Vinci gave Apple Pie a map with the routes clearly marked on it. Although I am under house arrest, my subordinates have already figured out the patrol routes and fix positions of the supporting black soldiers. As long as you follow the route I give, you will not encounter other black soldiers along the way. Apple Pie took the route map and rolled his eyes. Damn it. I have to go and die. Zhu Shizhou comforted. Don't worry. You won't die with this route map. Apple Pie cursed again. Get lost. After that, Apple Pie set off, putting the route map in his arms. Apple Pie left the underground command room. Is it okay for you not to follow? Da Vinci asked. Zhu Shizhou asked back. Are you worried that Apple Pie will defect? I do have this worry. Zhu Shizhou shook his head. She won't. Because she has no way to retreat. And she is no longer an elite black soldier whose emotions have been wiped out, but an ordinary person with rich emotions. Da Vinci said he couldn't understand. Zhu Shizhou was right. Apple Pie was emotionally rich now, and it was impossible for him to defect. She knew how outrageous it was for her to help Zhu Shizhou attack Wall Street. If she fell into the hands of the black soldiers, it would not be solved by just making amends. And even if she successfully rescued Commander Su, would Commander Su be willing to let her rescue him? She saw clearly that there seemed to be some hidden deal between Zhu Shizhou and Commander Su. So now that she is already on Zhu Shizhou's pirate ship, she shouldn't get off. Jumping back and forth will only make her die faster. After leaving the command room, Apple Pie didn't take out the route map to look at it, because she had already written it down. And Zhu Shizhou also told Da Vinci that the route map was just a reference, and the actual situation might change. There are black soldiers patrolling in the northwest, and fixed black soldiers in the southeast. Go around them. Apple Pie didn't trust the route map, but instead sent out pheromones to scout outside, and soon found 2 teams of black soldiers. Combined with the route map she wrote down, Apple Pie changed direction and detoured from a farther direction, walking and stopping along the way. Apple Pie avoided the sight of several teams of black soldiers without any danger, and the black soldiers under Da Vinci also helped. It took Apple Pie only 10 minutes to reach the designated location. Avoiding the sight of the black soldiers was just a side dish, and the main event was next. Apple Pie took out his gun, checked the time, and pointed the gun to the sky. Bang, bang, bang. 3 shots were fired in a row. The huge and undisguised gunshots resounded throughout the nearby area. At the same time, almost all the black soldiers in the manor looked in the direction where the gunshots came from. The gunshots meant an accident, because when the supporting black soldiers arrived at the manor, they had brought black soldiers' standard firearms to all the black soldiers. Even if they fired, they would only flash white lasers. So these 3 gunshots almost told the black soldiers the answer. An enemy invaded the manor. At the entrance of the manor, Ingui and others were originally continuing to follow the hound's nose to track the unknown kidnapper. But the sudden gunshots in the manor made them stop. What should we do? Which way should we go? The hound raised his head and looked at the ghost. The ghost looked eastward in the direction of the gunshot. They were tracking the smell of blood in the northwest. There are obviously more than one enemy, the ghost said immediately, and then immediately contacted the patrol captain in the manor. The communication was connected. The ghost. What's the gunshot? The patrol captain. It's not clear yet. We have sent people to check. Captain Ingui, are you also in the manor now? Yes. I found some clues. The ghost was vague. He was worried that there were still traitors in the manor, so he did not reveal his purpose of returning to the manor. The patrol captain did not doubt him and said, then please ask the ghost captain to help patrol to prevent other enemies from preparing to cause trouble in the manor. Okay. The ghost ended the communication and then pondered. The hound asked, what's wrong? From the reaction of the patrol captain, they should not have encountered the enemy yet. Since they have not encountered the enemy yet, the sudden 3 gunshots are very strange. Either the enemy encountered the black soldiers and killed them with 3 guns, causing the black soldiers to have no time to report the situation, or this is just a trick of the enemy to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The hound didn't want to think, so he asked, which side is more likely? The ghost was more inclined to the latter. The enemy returned to the manor and most likely just wanted to hide the kidnapped Commander Su. But the manor was well defended, and the enemy could only attract the attention of the black soldiers by creating chaos, so as to make the defense circle appear flawed. This was the ghost's speculation. The 2 traitors, Guya and Chiouyu, looked at each other, and Guya asked with a stiff face, so where should we go next? The ghost said, don't pay attention to the source of the gunshots. We just need to continue tracking. Da Vinci. Can you do it? Bone Crow felt bad. Da Vinci seemed to have received their secret information. But he seemed to want to attract the attention of the ghost and others through the gunshots. But he failed. Bone Crow was still struggling whether to make another move to trick the ghost and the hound. But the ghost had already signaled the hound to continue tracking. This was not affected at all. Bone Crow sighed and could only follow. What they didn't know was that Du Fei, who was with Su Feng, also heard the gunshots. When sending apple pie, Zhu Shizhou contacted Du Fei to explain the situation and informed her of the next arrangements. Du Fei knew which direction to go when she heard the gunshots. Is this Zhu Shizhou's arrangement? Su Feng asked. Du Fei didn't answer, and grabbed Su Feng and rushed towards the direction of the gunshots. I understand. Zhu Shizhou wants apple pie to exchange positions with you. Apple pie's rebellious identity has been exposed. But you and him still have room to whitewash. So he wants you to hand me over to apple pie. And then he and you will rescue me in front of other black soldiers. Du Fei had a blank expression on her face. Su Feng guessed correctly. Zhu Shizhou did tell her that, since the plan was disrupted by Yin Gui and others, they could only adapt to the situation. Apple pie continued to take the blame. And she and Zhu Shizhou were the ones to get clean. Almost done. Du Fei took Su Feng to a bush not far from apple pie's location. She stopped and looked at Su Feng. Su Feng was helpless. I understand. In order to prevent me from talking nonsense while you are performing a double act, you want me to lose consciousness again, right? Actually, there is no need. Du Fei made a lightning-fast move, hitting Su Feng on the back of his head with a knife. Before Su Feng could finish his words, he fell to the ground with a muffled groan. To be on the safe side, Du Fei fiddled with Su Feng's limbs, dislocating his limb joints. After doing all this, Du Fei directly carried Su Feng on his shoulders, jumped out of the bushes, and ran towards apple pie. The most critical part of this simple and crude plan was that she had to get to apple pie's location faster than the black soldier. Chapter 866, Unbelievable Remote Command. Why did Zhu Shizhou let Du Fei take care of Su Feng instead of apple pie? Because he knew that Du Fei was better than apple pie and that she would not be easily deceived by Su Feng's sweet words, no matter how reasonable Su Feng's words were. Du Fei's contradictions with Su Feng were no less than his contradictions with Su Feng. So when she knocked Su Feng unconscious, she didn't hold back at all. After Su Feng fainted, she directly carried Su Feng, put on a mask, and ran towards apple pie. Now is not the time to worry about whether or not they will be exposed. Du Fei has heard what Zhu Shizhou said. She just needs to run with Su Feng. He will take care of the rest. In this case, she has no choice but to trust him. Hello? Can you hear me? Zhu Shizhou's voice came from the headset. Du Fei replied. I heard you. Turn left in 10 seconds. You will turn into a small path and lie down in the grass with Su Feng. Zhu Shizhou said this slowly, as if he was not in a hurry at all. Almost 10 seconds had passed after he finished speaking. Du Fei looked to the left as Zhu Shizhou said, and indeed saw a small path. Without thinking, Du Fei rushed over, found a bush at random, rushed into the bush with Su Feng, quickly laid Su Feng flat on the ground, and then laid down herself. After a few seconds, Du Fei sensed that a group of black soldiers passed quickly from the trail in the distance. If she had not followed Zhu Shizhou's order to hide, she would have been exposed now. Du Fei was about to get up, but Zhu Shizhou continued. Don't move. Wait for a minute, and collect pheromones. Du Fei forcibly controlled the action of getting up and lay still on the ground again. I saw a black soldier returning and standing at the intersection of the path. As the black soldier's pheromones approached, there was a conversation. Did you really sense it? I don't know. But when I passed by, I really sensed the pheromone fluctuations here. But it might be an illusion. Anyway, let's search first. Let's not waste time. The apple pie has appeared. Commander Su might really have it in her hands. No. Why don't you go and provide support first? I'll continue searching here. Maybe I can find her accomplices. Okay. I'll go first. Be careful. The conversation disappeared. But the footsteps in the distance were getting closer. It should be nearby. If my perception is correct, there is indeed an abnormal pheromone fluctuation. Du Fei's heart was pounding when she heard the footsteps approaching. She even broke out in a cold sweat on her palms. But she still did not move. She followed Zhu Shizhou's orders to control the pheromones in her body. But she immediately looked at the unconscious Su Feng. Wait! She suddenly realized that she had knocked Su Feng unconscious, which was equivalent to making Su Feng lose the ability to control pheromones. Wouldn't it be easy for Su Feng's pheromones to be exposed in a coma? Du Fei's heart gradually sank. The footsteps were getting closer. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. 1 second, 2 seconds, just when Du Fei thought she had been exposed and was about to jump up and attack the black soldier. She suddenly heard the black soldier talking to oneself. The voice. No, not talking to oneself, but responding to a superior in his communication channel. Yes, I will come to support immediately. After saying that, the black soldier gave up the search and walked away quickly, until Du Fei could no longer hear the footsteps. She dared to breathe heavily. She was so nervous just now that her heart was still beating violently. Ju, get up quickly. After leaving the path, turn to the left front and go forward. Bypass the fountain in the courtyard and enter villa number 2. Du Fei hadn't calmed down yet and heard Zhu Shizhou's order again. She didn't know if it was Zhu Shizhou who did it just now. At this moment, she didn't dare to question Zhu Shizhou's order at all. She immediately stood up with Su Feng, rushed out of the path at her fastest speed, turned to the left front, and sprinted about 100 meters. A fountain in the courtyard that was previously blocked by the green belt appeared not far ahead. At this time, it was unknown whether apple pie was working. There were no black soldiers guarding the courtyard. Du Fei bravely rushed to the vicinity of the fountain, and no black soldiers suddenly jumped out to obstruct her. Du Fei bypassed the fountain and rushed to the door of villa number 2. Villa number 2 was actually very close to the underground command room. But Du Fei knew that since Zhu Shizhou did not let her send Su Feng directly there must be a reason, and it was probably impossible. There were probably more dense black soldiers defending the underground command room. Where to enter? Push the door open and go in. Du Fei once again sighed at Zhu Shizhou's boldness, but did not question it, and directly stretched out his hand to push the door open. This is another advantage of Du Fei that is different from apple pie. If the person who brought Su Feng now was apple pie, it is estimated that no matter how Zhu Shizhou persuaded her, she would choose to find another way to enter villa number 2. Zhu Shizhou didn't need to explain Du Fei's advice. Don't talk from now on. There are black soldiers in the villa, and the sound of you opening the door just now has alarmed those black soldiers. What the hell? Du Fei was startled, and heard Zhu Shizhou quickly say, after entering the hall, did you see the vase next to the left pillar? Pick it up and throw it to the corridor on the 2nd floor. Du Fei didn't dare to delay. At this time, villa number 2 was dark at night without lights on, but Du Fei still saw the vase in the dark with his eyesight. He rushed over and picked it up with one hand and threw it towards the 2nd floor. The vase was directly installed on the railing of the 2nd floor and exploded, and the ceramic fragments were crackling and scattered all over the floor. Now hide behind the pillars, collect pheromones, and don't forget to block Su Feng's nose and mouth. Du Fei did as she was told, hiding behind the pillars to block Su Feng's nose and mouth. And then she was surprised to find that Su Feng, who was in a coma, instinctively fell into a state of suspended animation after his breathing was blocked. She soon understood the reason. This was because Su Feng's body, consciously, felt that he was having difficulty breathing, and then took the initiative to fall into a state similar to hibernation to reduce the body's energy metabolism. It can only be said that he is worthy of being the man standing at the top of the Black Soldier organization. Du Fei was not surprised for too long, and soon she heard a lot of footsteps coming from the 2nd floor. But soon these footsteps disappeared. This did not mean that the black soldiers had left. On the contrary, the black soldiers had restrained their pheromones and searched for the intruders who broke into the villa in the dark. Du Fei did not hear any sound, but she could hear that her heartbeat was gradually becoming stable. She was also actively controlling her body's pheromones. However, Zhu Shizhou did not seem to give her time to breathe, and continued to order, now come out from behind the pillar. The 3rd window on your left is not locked. Push the window open and climb out. Pay attention to the movement. It is better to be slow, and the movement should be gentle. Du Fei walked over quietly, and indeed found that the window was not locked. He gently pushed the window open, and after opening a large enough gap, Du Fei lightly jumped directly out of the window, and the whole person landed lightly on the grass outside the villa. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Zhu Shizhou remind him, close the window. Although Du Fei was confused, he still did it, entering the villa, making some noise, and then leaving the villa. What is he doing? Don't ask too much. Wait 22 seconds. Go around the back of the villa. Du Fei counted 22 seconds silently and started to go around. Okay. Then what? The gap between the bricks on the wall in front of you can give you a leverage point for climbing. Climb up the wall to the 3rd floor. The window on the left is ajar. After climbing through the window, you can find a box of black soldier spare sets under the bed on the right. But there is no gun. You need to change clothes within 5 minutes. Du Fei. Got it. Start climbing the wall. The reason for entering the villa at the beginning was to alert the black soldiers in the villa. After mobilizing the black soldiers invisibly, he had more time to climb the wall. And then he could change clothes on the 3rd floor without any trouble. I won't say anything more. I wish Sergio is awesome. Da Vinci in the underground command room also had the same idea. Du Fei didn't know that the scene he saw was even more magical. Sergio closed Du Fei's communication and opened Apple Pie's communication. Do you see the sniper at 10 o'clock? He will shoot you in the left side of the waist in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. It seems that he has dodged it. Next. Shoot at the 8 o'clock direction. Force the black soldiers over there. Rush over. And forcefully break up their formation. The defense line there is relatively fragile. Pay attention to slow down and leave some buffer. Be careful of the -7 smoke bomb. Hold your breath, turn left and leave first. The drone has dropped bombs. A drone has taken off to the right rear side. Shoot it down. There is also one at 3 o'clock. The long-range sniper drone has also taken off. There are not many of them. There is a group of drones at your 11 o'clock position. With your marksmanship, you should be able to shoot down 3 or 4 of them. Just hide from the rest. Shoot. Sergio gave one command after another to the communicator in an orderly manner. But Da Vinci was stunned. In front of Sergio, there was no monitoring equipment or other instruments for him to see the scene. In short, there was nothing. It was as if this guy had imagined the battle scene out of thin air and gave one command after another to Apple Pie, who was facing the siege of a group of black soldiers in person. Damn. This is ridiculous. But what's even more ridiculous is that from the voice of Apple Pie's communication. Apple Pie is still alive and kicking. Apple Pie probably doesn't know the current situation. And he even has time to ask Sergio occasionally. What next? After listening to Sergio's instructions, Apple Pie continued to fight. Is there any more ridiculous scene than this? Da Vinci naturally didn't believe in it and searched around Sergio, but still didn't see any device that could display the monitoring screen. So how did he do it? How can this remote command be like acting? Faced with this incredible plot, Da Vinci even suspected that the black soldiers fighting with Apple Pie were also his own people. Chapter 867 Bone Crow. This must be a factional struggle. No physical command. This is an incredible operation in Da Vinci's eyes. But it is a normal and ordinary method for Sergio. It's still the old way. It doesn't matter if there is no real scene. As long as he can know where Du Fei and Apple Pie will fail in the communication, he will let the two get up there, which is equivalent to becoming a plug-in for Du Fei and Apple Pie to return to the game. Da Vinci witnessed Sergio's command with his own eyes and felt incredible. But if this is not acting but reality, he has failed so many times against Sergio. Sergio can have such a physical command. Can he win? In the interval between Sergio's command, Da Vinci had a little free time. And he came up and asked, "How did you do it?" Sergio. Diffuse pheromones throughout the manor. And use pheromones to sense when you can't see the actual scene. Under my pheromone field. You can be omniscient and don't need on-site monitoring. Nonsense. But this is the best reason to explain this magical operation. Da Vinci released pheromones to sense. I didn't sense your pheromones. Sergio sneered. Nonsense. If my pheromone field can be easily sensed by others, wouldn't this move be equivalent to a useless move? Don't even think about sensing it. You can't learn it. This is the characteristic of my pheromone. Pheromone characteristics. Each black soldier has its own pheromone characteristics. When it reaches the level of elite black soldiers, it can develop its own unique means. Generally speaking, two elite black soldiers with completely different pheromone characteristics cannot imitate each other. Da Vinci thought of more. Really? How many people can your pheromone deceive? Everyone. Da Vinci was skeptical about Sergio's big talk. Can alien insects be deceived? Sergio glanced at Da Vinci. So far, I haven't had any dealings with Zerg since I graduated. There was resentment in these words. According to his ability, He should have shined on the battlefield. But Su Feng transferred him to the United States with a casual move. And he was entangled here. And he was about to face a large number of Zerg, and the Zerg tide that was about to be lured out by the Zerg. Da Vinci said, "If you can deceive the perception of the Zerg, then you can enter and exit the Zerg swarm as if there were no Zerg. The Zerg feed on humans. And they use a person's pheromones to judge whether the person is delicious. If Zhu Shizhou can really deceive the Zerg's perception with pheromones, then Zhu Shizhou is equivalent to a creature with no appeal to the Zerg, not even food, and is equivalent to a stone on the side of the road." Even Da Vinci thought more, and immediately thought of several directions for the development of pheromones. If Zhu Shizhou can manipulate pheromones to this extent, does it mean that he can adjust the pheromones to make it difficult for the Zerg to eat? Foul smell. Smell. So as to further avoid being eaten by alien insects? If the Black Soldier organization studies Zhu Shizhou's pheromones, can they be widely promoted to humans? All these ideas have no results, because he has now boarded Zhu Shizhou's pirate ship. Da Vinci didn't know that this was all made up by Zhu Shizhou, because although his pheromones are powerful, he can't form such a large-scale pheromone field without being detected by an elite black soldier. It can only be said that the reason why he was able to deceive Da Vinci is just because his real pheromone level has far exceeded Da Vinci's understanding of pheromones. So no matter how he makes it up, it looks real. Ignoring Da Vinci's detection, Zhu Shizhou continued to remotely command Apple Pie and Du Fei. Du Fei, who had already changed into a spare black soldier suit in Villa Number 2, jumped out of the window and left Villa Number 2, bypassing from the back, leaving a group of black soldiers in Villa Number 2 to continue searching for non-existent enemies. Du Fei's current outfit was not much different from other black soldiers, except that she lacked a black soldier standard firearm. She carried Su Feng and continued to find a small path to approach Apple Pie. "What should we do next?" Zhu Shizhou praised. "Just follow your idea. You have done a good job. Basically there is nothing missing. In fact, there are some, such as Du Fei did not clear the traces when he left Villa Number 2. But this problem is harmless." Du Fei breathed a sigh of relief. She could already see the white light flashing in the night not far away. Those were the white lasers shot out by the black soldiers. Apple Pie fought with the black soldiers like an indestructible cockroach, still standing firm. Du Fei continued to approach, and could already see Apple Pie's figure moving around in the battle, and also saw several black soldiers who were constantly injured in the battle and temporarily left the battlefield. She found a hidden place and hid in a tree, seeing the scene of Apple Pie's fierce battle. She also sighed. The elite black soldiers are still strong, and they can fight so many black soldiers alone. If it were her, she might not be able to last even 5 minutes. After watching for a long time, she began to observe the surrounding and distant situations without waiting for Zhu Shizhou's next instruction. It would be fine if she didn't look, but she was shocked when she saw it, and hurriedly contacted Zhu Shizhou. "Zhu Shizhou, there are 100 black soldiers approaching me from the northwest. Should I move?" "Zhu Shizhou, that is a temporary team composed of 5 elite black soldiers. Yin Gui, Hound, Crazy Killer, Bone Crow, and Qiu Yu, who led their respective black soldier squads. Among them, Bone Crow and Qiu Yu can be considered ours. Don't worry. You continue to stay in the tree." "Continue to stay? Can it work?" Du Fei was not sure that he could hide it, and he was scared when he saw so many black soldiers. Zhu Shizhou said, "What are you afraid of? Even if you are discovered, don't you still have me?" Du Fei replied, "That's true." In the underground command room, after listening to the conversation between the two, Da Vinci asked, "Where did you find this talent?" Zhu Shizhou replied, "Commander Su found it." Da Vinci shut up honestly. Da Vinci's view was very simple. Du Fei was just looking for death if he continued to stay where he was. Du Fei was at great risk of being discovered. But Zhu Shizhou's words made Du Fei put aside his doubts. "I don't know if this woman is stupid or loyal." He looked at the personnel configuration of the Yin Gui again, and when he saw one of the elite black soldiers, he suddenly remembered something and took out his mobile phone to check the information on the internal network of the organization. Da Vinci put down his phone and persuaded him seriously. "Hound, the elite black soldier, has a very sharp nose. She will never escape the nose of the Hound." Zhu Shizhou smiled. "I know. This is the effect I want." Da Vinci was stunned. "What do you mean?" Zhu Shizhou just said. "Just watch." Su Feng would leave a backhand, which was expected by Zhu Shizhou. He was out of Su Feng's control. And Su Feng would definitely want to regain control of the development situation. Although he didn't know what means Su Feng used to let Yingui and others find the manor. He was ready to use Su Feng's backhand. Yingui and the others who followed the hound's nose were not blind. They could see the white light flashing in the direction where Apple Pie was fighting the enemy. As they approached, they knew that the enemy had exposed their tracks. They didn't know that Du Fei, who was leading Su Feng, was in the same group as Apple Pie. They just thought that Apple Pie, who was fighting the black soldiers, was the target they were chasing. It's just ahead. The hound twitched his nose and said to everyone. Xiaoyu said, the number of enemies is unknown. Let's go and support them. Bone Crow also followed suit. Although the two had helped Da Vinci release the enemy in the forest before, they were completely confused at the moment. Since the hound came here following the sit of Commander Su, it meant that everything should be settled. Commander Su was in front. No matter whether the news Da Vinci conveyed to them was true or false. Everything else was false. As long as Commander Su himself could be saved, everything would naturally be revealed. Just as the ghost was about to order the black soldiers to go for support, the hound suddenly stopped everyone. Wait, something is wrong, the ghost asked. What's wrong? Commander Su is not in the center of the battlefield, but near the battlefield, the ghost said. Accomplices. Some people are responsible for fighting the black soldiers, and some are responsible for hiding Commander Su. No matter who wins or loses the battle, if we can't find Commander Su, everything will be in vain. The Bone Crow also said, no, it may not be an accomplice. Maybe our people have rescued Commander Su. The ghost glanced at the Bone Crow. Why didn't I see that you were such an idiot before? If our people rescued Commander Su, how could we not report it to everyone? Bone Crow. You're right. Uh-huh. Bone Crow thought differently from the ghost. He vaguely sensed doubts in this incident, and came to the conclusion that there were factions within the Black Soldier organization. If the news that Da Vinci conveyed to him was true, and everything was a plot by Commander Su, then this rescue operation was a factional struggle instigated by Commander Su. It's just that Yingui, the idiot, can't see it. Of course, Yingui lacks intelligence. Besides him, there is also Qiuyu beside him who can see this. Although he thought so, Guya didn't show it. The goal of several people is still the same. No matter what the truth is, find Commander Su first. At this time, Du Fei was still hiding in a tree with Commander Su. Chapter 868 Remote Dialogue. The tree where Du Fei was hiding was very dense, and the environment was dark. So when she was hiding in the tree, ordinary black soldiers could not see that there was anyone in the tree. But there was no such problem for the hound. He relied on his nose to locate, and easily found the source of the bloody smell. He looked at Yingui and others with certainty, and pointed to the tree where Du Fei was hiding, and said, in that tree. Yingui said, we have been tracking all the way here, and the smell of blood has basically not stopped. So this is either a clue left by Commander Su on purpose, or it is an enemy trap. If it is a trap, then we have stepped into it now, the hound said. I don't think it is a trap. At least if I were a kidnapper, I would not set a trap in the manor. The ghost nodded. I think so too. But we still have to make preparations. Given the size of the tree, the enemy cannot hide too many people in the tree. If the enemy wants to set a trap, they will probably place troops around it. So it is very simple. The ghost waved his hand, and the black soldiers in the back dispersed. Some of the black soldiers were responsible for scouting the surroundings to ensure that there were no villains hiding in the dark. The other part of the black soldiers formed a circle around to ensure that after they rushed in, the enemies hiding in the tree would have nowhere to escape. However, after he waved his hand, the black soldier squad belonging to Guya and Qiuyu did not move. Yingui looked at the two. Qiuyu said, my squad will help you to scout the battle. Damn. His line was stolen. Qiuyu had the same idea as him. Since it might involve factional struggles within the organization, the smartest way to deal with it was to remain neutral. Although Qiuyu acted with everyone, she did not want to do it. And she did not want to lose manpower because of factional struggles. Since his line was stolen, Guya could only say helplessly, the enemy's strength is unknown. My team will go with you. The ghost nodded. That's fine. The enemy we met in the forest before was very strong. If every enemy was of that level, my team alone might not be able to defeat them. The Bone Crow breathed a sigh of relief. But in his heart he thought that he should just let it go in the battle later. since the enemy couldn't escape anyway. But then again, the enemy hiding in the tree should be able to notice the actions of their 100-man black soldier team. But why didn't they run away, but instead hid in the tree? This seems to confirm the conjecture that this may be an internal factional struggle. Because enemy, it seems that they are not real enemies. The search nearby seems to be unhindered. Ingui listened to the reports from the headset. Such as no enemy found. Search is correct. Encirclement is in place. And doubts arose in his heart. It seems to be too smooth. The encirclement has been formed. Although there are still doubts in his heart, Ingui does not want to wait any longer. He made a gesture, and all the black soldiers appeared around the tree from all directions while on guard. Du Fei, who was on the tree, was terrified. She was extremely tortured on the tree. She saw with her own eyes that the black soldiers searched the surroundings and formed a tight encirclement. But she still hadn't received any instructions from Zhu Shizhou in her earphone. Now the dense black soldiers had surrounded the tree, and she was sure that she had no way to escape. Until now, Zhu Shizhou's voice sounded in the earphone. You can go down. Leave Su Feng on the tree. Du Fei was shocked. Now? Just as she was about to ask, Zhu Shizhou said again, don't talk. Just listen to the arrangements. Du Fei shut up and looked down. The leading elite black soldier had already stood up. You in the tree. You can come out now. Du Fei swallowed his saliva, took a deep breath, and jumped down from the tree. Dong. This is the sound of her landing. Hua la hua la hua. This is the sound of the black soldiers raising their guns. Ingui was also stunned for a moment. He had been prepared to confront the enemy for a long time under the tree. But he didn't expect that he just said a few words, and the enemy came down obediently. Observing the target, Ingui continued to be stunned. The enemy was wearing a black soldier uniform. But he had no guns, so he could be said to be unarmed. From the appearance, he seemed to be a woman. If you look at the appearance alone, this is simply an ordinary black soldier. The ghost looked at the hound. The hound said calmly, my nose is not wrong. And the smell of blood still lingers on the tree. Which means there is someone on the tree. The ghost nodded in understanding. Although he didn't know why the other party was wearing a black soldier uniform. It was obvious that there was more than one enemy. He appeared in front of them so recklessly. And it was almost certain that there was another person on the tree watching Commander Su. It was because the other party was so reckless that they didn't dare to shoot casually. It was easy to kill the enemy in front of them. But the enemy on the tree only needed one move to kill Commander Su. Ingui said to Du Fei. You? Du Fei interrupted Ingui and asked a question that made Ingui feel puzzled. Which side are you from? She didn't speak randomly. But Zhu Shizhou in the headset asked her to repeat it. So Zhu Shizhou was actually talking to Ingui through her. Ingui looked at Du Fei. What's wrong with this woman? What does this question mean? Is this question difficult to answer? Is this question difficult to answer? Du Fei followed. The ghost said coldly. I don't understand what you mean. Who are you? Hand over Commander Su on the tree and surrender. You have no way to escape. This is to trick her. Because although they followed the smell of blood all the way, the one on the tree may not be Commander Su. Answer my question. Du Fei sneered. Answer my question. The ghost naturally couldn't cooperate. But judging from the enemy's reaction, the source of the bloody smell on the tree was very likely Commander Su. Zhu Shizhou, Du Fei. He will shoot next. Stand still and don't move. As soon as the words fell, Ingui raised his hand and fired a shot. White laser shot out from the muzzle. And Du Fei didn't even have time to react. This shot directly burned a charred hole on the ground in front of Du Fei. Du Fei's back was covered with cold sweat. Not to mention moving. She didn't even react. But fortunately with Zhu Shizhou's reminder, she suppressed her subconscious reaction to avoid. Du Fei continued to follow Zhu Shizhou's instructions and sneered, looking very calm. I advise you not to shoot casually. Since I dare to come down, it is impossible that I am not prepared. You should not even understand this. Right? The ghost frowned. And the deterrence was ineffective. He could see that the other party was not afraid of death. But they were afraid of the death of Commander Su. So he asked, what do you want? Du Fei. You answer my question first. Which side are you on? What side? Which side else? The ghost remained silent. He didn't understand this question. But at this moment, unexpectedly, the bone crow next to the ghost suddenly said, we stand on the side of Commander Su. The ghost looked at the bone crow in confusion. What does this mean? What's more puzzling is that the guy on the opposite side, who was alert as soon as he appeared, seemed to relax his attitude after hearing this sentence. And even his tone became softer. Where is the evidence? The Bone Crow also breathed a sigh of relief and talked fluently with Du Fei. What evidence do you want? Du Fei. If you want me to believe you, you have to produce evidence yourself, instead of me helping you figure out how to prove it. Bone Crow. Wait a minute. After saying that, Bone Crow signaled the other black soldiers to continue to be on guard, but pulled the ghost back out of the encirclement. The ghost said, "It seems that there is something I don't know." Bone Crow laughed. "This is a good thing. At least, we don't have to worry about the safety of Commander Su's life. If I'm not mistaken, this search and rescue operation is a trap from beginning to end." Chapter 869, Divide the Forces. Bone Crow has his own understanding of the current situation. Commander Su's kidnapping is strange in itself. With Da Vinci's message, he is basically sure that this kidnapping is actually an internal struggle. So what you mean is that Commander Su used his kidnapping as an excuse to eliminate dissidents in the organization? Ingui asked in summary after listening. Bone Crow observed Ingui's expression. It's almost certain. There are rebellious factions in the organization. Apple Pie is an example. This is certain. But how many rebellious factions are there? No one knows until they are found out. So Commander Su wants to use the kidnapping incident to fish. But he wonders how many rebels he can catch. The ghost looked at Guya, then at Chiouyu, Huang Sha, Hound and others, and narrowed his eyes. So, among the elite black soldiers who came to support, there are many rebels like Apple Pie? Guya said. I guess so. What about Da Vinci? The ghost suddenly asked. According to Guya, it was Da Vinci who contacted him first, and he learned about it. The truth. In other words, Bone Crow thinks that Da Vinci's position is correct. Da Vinci must be Commander Su's man. Think about it. After New York got out of control, Da Vinci was questioned, imprisoned, and finally released. He was reappointed by Commander Su to work in New York. He must be Commander Su's man. So it's not surprising that he knows the inside story of the kidnapping. On the contrary, the Dead Kite and Bible may be rebels like Apple Pie. So Commander Su secretly eliminated them. Very reasonable. The suspicious point of this incident lies in the disappearance of Commander Su. Given Commander Su's cautiousness, it is too outrageous that he was kidnapped after leaving the manor with a kite and a Bible. Ingui believed from the beginning of the search and rescue that unless Commander Su did it on purpose, such a thing would not happen. Now Bone Crow's explanation has solved his doubts. Although what you said sounds reasonable, we still need to confirm whether the woman who suddenly appeared in the manor and the person in the tree are Commander Su. The ghost turned around and looked at Du Fei, who was surrounded by the black soldiers but remained motionless. The black soldiers made way for the encirclement, and the ghost walked over. He did not get closer until he was 10 meters away from Du Fei, because there was a manager who had fought with Zhu Shizhou in the woods. The ghost subconsciously thought that Du Fei was also a powerful enemy like the one he encountered in the woods. What is the black soldier number? The ghost said to Du Fei. Du Fei cursed in his heart. Black soldier number? How could he have that thing? Zhu Shizhou. Don't let him down at this time. Answer him. Let Bone Crow talk to me. Du Fei hurriedly said. Let Bone Crow talk to me. The ghost looked at Bone Crow, and Bone Crow was more certain that this was Da Vinci's man. Otherwise, why would he ask to talk to him? Bone Crow stepped forward and asked, Are you Da Vinci's man? It's useless to ask the black soldier's number. It's better to get straight to the point. That's right. Du Fei nodded. And then his tone became stern. Bone Crow, you shouldn't mix with these black soldiers whose positions are unclear. Since Da Vinci has chosen you, you should try your best to cooperate. Leaking information at will can easily cause the plan to go wrong. Don't you even understand this? Hearing Du Fei's question, Guya was stunned for a moment. Shouldn't I be the one questioning you now? Guya glanced at Ingui and others, and then said, Don't worry about that for now. We just need to confirm Commander Su's safety now. So let your companion on the tree come down and hand over Commander Su. Du Fei stared at Guya and said expressionlessly, It seems that Da Vinci chose the wrong person. I will not hand over Commander Su. Unless you step over my body, don't expect me to compromise with you. Guya said. Ingui and others can't be rebels. Du Fei said coldly. Before Apple Pie rebelled, who would have thought that she had ulterior motives? Damn. That makes sense. Guya felt that he couldn't refute it. The matter involved the safety of Commander Su, so Ingui and others didn't dare to act rashly. However, after listening to the conversation between Du Fei and Guya, Ingui felt that they had no choice but to take action. If what Bone Crow said is correct, then even if they attack this black soldier, Commander Su's safety will not be in danger. But now there is a very serious problem. That is, the bloody smell they have been following all the way cannot be explained. According to the Hound, the bloody smell along the way is distributed in a very regular pattern, and it is basically certain that it was left intentionally. If the owner of the bloody smell is Commander Su, it proves that Commander Su is now helpless. Maybe there is indeed such a plan, but maybe there is something wrong in the middle, resulting in Commander Su's personal safety being threatened. So this method can only be used to remind them. Ingui dared not act rashly. Just when the situation was at a stalemate, Ingui and other elite black soldiers suddenly looked up at the direction where Apple Pie and the black soldiers of the manor were fighting in the distance, and heard a strong pheromone burst. Then, they sensed that Apple Pie's pheromone was moving quickly towards this side. Du Fei's face changed drastically. Oh no! Apple Pie is coming! As soon as the voice fell, Du Fei turned around quickly, jumped in 3 or 2 steps, and was about to return to the tree. The ghost shouted, "Don't move!" The situation was unclear, and the ghost raised his hand again and shot at Du Fei. This shot was different from the previous one that missed on purpose. This time he shot at Du Fei's body, because he instantly figured out from Du Fei's actions that she turned around and wanted to go back to the tree to take Commander Su away. If there were other accomplices in the tree holding Commander Su hostage, then she didn't need to go back to the tree, so it can be inferred that she had been bluffing before. And in fact, she was the only one holding Commander Su hostage. So Ingui fired. But the shot missed again, because at the moment he raised his hand, Du Fei's footsteps changed direction, and he dodged in advance. This dodge reminded Ingui of the extremely powerful enemy he encountered in the woods. The shot missed, but Du Fei did not slow down, and jumped straight onto the tree, and then rushed out of the lush branches quickly, with a person under his armpit. Ingui saw clearly that the person was the Commander Su they had been looking for. The black soldiers wanted to shoot Du Fei, who was jumping in the air, but they heard Du Fei yelling, "Don't do it! Otherwise I will kill Commander Su." The black soldiers' fingers fell on the trigger, and no one dared to shoot. Du Fei landed with Su Feng in her arms, and Zhu Shizhou's voice continued to come from the headset. "Don't worry about which direction. Just go straight." She did so, and rushed in one direction, shouting, "Don't stop me." She had Su Feng as a hostage, and the black soldiers really didn't dare to stop her. Wherever Du Fei went, the black soldiers made way. After a while, the encirclement automatically avoided, and Du Fei's figure flowed through the black soldiers like the wind. Ingui shouted, "Chase him." Then he led his team to follow Du Fei. Encirclement was impossible. He judged from the previous shot that he could not kill the enemy instantly. But the enemy had one hand on Commander Su's neck, and it would only take a moment for the other party to kill Commander Su. The key point was why he was fine before. But as soon as he sensed the outbreak of apple pie pheromones, this guy took Commander Su and ran away. Hundreds of black soldiers ran wildly behind Du Fei, and the Bone Crow followed and quickly explained according to his understanding. "I understand. She hid in the tree with Commander Su to avoid the rebel faction's black soldiers. Apple Pie is the only known rebel, but there are no other rebels in the manor, so she has to avoid the black soldiers." Xiaoyu also caught up. She had not spoken before, but now she took over the conversation. "That's right. Apple Pie suddenly found Commander Su's location for some reason. If Apple Pie finds Commander Su, then other rebels in the manor will know Commander Su's location. So she wants to escape with Commander Su." Ingui was confused by what Xiaoyu and Guya said, and looked at Xiaoyu. "Are you also on Da Vinci's side?" Xiaoyu said. "Da Vinci is Commander Su's man. I stand with Commander Su." Ingui: "I agree with Guya's statement. This kidnapping incident is actually a factional dispute." Ingui couldn't tell the truth for a while, but now there is a solution. He said to Guya and Xiaoyu, "According to what you said, we can't let Apple Pie catch up now. So you two turn back to stop Apple Pie, and I will continue to lead people to chase. If you can catch him alive, catch him alive. If you can't catch him alive, kill him. Can you do it?" Bone Crow smiled upon hearing this. The reason why Apple Pie was able to hold out for so long against a group of black soldiers is because there were no elite black soldiers among them. I know her strength. Xiaoyu and I should be able to take down Apple Pie. But you? Don't lose her. The ghost said coldly. We will act on both sides. As long as one side is taken down, all the truth will be revealed. After the few people agreed, Bone Crow and Xiaoyu led the team back to stop Apple Pie. Chapter 870. Could this be one of our own? Apple Pie didn't know what happened. She only knew that Zhu Shizhou said something to her a few minutes ago. Du Fei betrayed. Yes. It was this sentence that made Apple Pie furious and scared. You have to know that they are now on the same boat. And Du Fei's betrayal is a big deal. Enough to make her fall into an abyss of no return. If Du Fei tells the truth to the Black Soldier organization, then she and Zhu Shizhou will be finished. So Du Fei must not fall into the hands of the Black Soldiers. She immediately chose to burst pheromones and approach Du Fei. Her only thought was to kill Du Fei and snatch Commander Su from Du Fei. A bunch of trash. Get out of here! Apple shouted angrily. And there were Black Soldiers around her, who were not aware of the situation and tried to stop her. Turning to avoid a white laser, Apple Pie rushed to a place with weaker defenses and immediately heard Zhu Shizhou's voice in the headset. Don't be too hasty. This is a trap. Next, you will be attacked by the Black Soldiers on the left and right wings. Apple Pie looked up and saw that the Black Soldiers on the left and right wings seemed to be floating around. But in fact, once she approached the weak point, the Black Soldiers on the two wings could take the opportunity to approach and successfully attack her. She didn't think at all that Zhu Shizhou couldn't see her scene at all. She just thought that Zhu Shizhou was paying close attention to the scene. Go to the left. Left? Apple Pie was not like Du Fei. She would hesitate when faced with some outrageous orders. If Apple Pie was in a normal Black Soldier state, she would not hesitate. But now she and Zhu Shizhou are in a cooperative relationship. And she is also a little afraid of death. When she saw that the encirclement on the left was too tight, Apple Pie was a little bit scared. Zhu Shizhou had already calculated the lead time and deliberately set aside time to explain. The encirclement on the left seems tight, but it is relatively easy to break through. And in other directions, you can easily be surrounded by other Black Soldiers if you choose any one of them. In this case, let's do it. Apple Pie gritted his teeth and thought. This is also the reason why Zhu Shizhou deceived Apple Pie Du Fei into betraying him. If he didn't deceive her, Apple Pie would always have a fluke mentality in her heart and would not be able to go all out. Apple Pie is just right now. From the perspective of the Black Soldiers at the scene, Apple Pie's actions are quite terrifying. She was about to drill into the gap in the encirclement they deliberately sold. But Apple Pie suddenly stopped halfway through the sprint and turned to the Black Soldiers on the left. Don't let her break through. Support team. Reserve shooting. Assault team. Take over. Pheromone explosion. Make sure to keep her here. Among the Black Soldiers on the left, there is a Black Soldier who looks like a commander, commanding other Black Soldiers to defend against Apple Pie's attack. But it's useless. Apple Pie rushed forward, climbing to the extreme speed, like a ghost, flashing through several white laser shots in succession. And the pheromone formed a dense network and suddenly pressed towards the Black Soldiers on the left. The Black Soldiers were unmoved, and they all raised pheromones to resist. When the pheromones of the two sides collided, Apple Pie had already rushed in front of the Black Soldiers. In the eyes of the Black Soldiers, Apple Pie was like a god of war. No matter how they shot, this woman could dodge dangerously. Even if they targeted her pheromone flaws, she could dodge it like a prophet. If any Black Soldier took the field, he would probably not last more than 10 seconds under such a dense attack. However, Apple Pie still seemed to be at ease under such an attack. This was terrifying. So when Apple Pie rushed up, some Black Soldiers realized that shooting alone might not be able to stop Apple Pie. So several Black Soldiers in the assault group approached her with pheromones. As if they had agreed, several Black Soldiers approached from all four directions. Apple Pie realized the danger and immediately kicked one of the Black Soldiers. His whip kick drew a beautiful trajectory in the air, and at the same time, he bent down and a white laser shot into the air, brushing against Apple Pie's abdomen. The whip kick also missed, but the Black Soldier lost the opportunity because of his dodge. Apple Pie's speed did not slow down at all. He rushed to the front of the Black Soldier, blocked the Black Soldier's jab with a few bangs, and grabbed the Black Soldier's wrist with lightning speed during the last block. With a casual shake, the Black Soldier's wrist joint was immediately dislocated. The Black Soldier said nothing and tried to attack again. But Apple Pie grabbed the Black Soldier's uniform with one hand and threw him out. Get out of here! Apple Pie used the black soldier to smash a path. And the black soldiers on both sides came immediately. Just as they were about to hold Apple Pie back, Apple Pie's speed suddenly increased a lot. This time, she left the other black soldiers, who wanted to hold her behind. Oh no! She still had some strength left. The black soldiers realized this, but they couldn't believe it. How could she still retain her strength among so many black soldiers? What level of monster is this? I have never heard that Apple Pie is so strong before. Apple Pie's speed increased again, catching the black soldiers off guard. She rushed into the black soldiers like a whirlwind. And then one after another black soldiers were thrown away quickly. Almost no black soldiers could withstand 3 moves in her hands. The black soldiers were caught and thrown away by her. And the originally impenetrable left encirclement was forcibly opened by her. Left. Right. Right. Left. Left. Zhu Shizhou's voice kept giving instructions in Apple Pie's headset. And Apple Pie made her own judgment based on the battle situation on the scene. She was amazed at Zhu Shizhou in her heart. Because every time Zhu Shizhou gave instructions, he almost gave them at the key point when the black soldiers' offensive almost broke through her defensive position. In any battle scene where attacks and blocks change rapidly, Apple Pie naturally has moments of conscious negligence. And Zhu Shizhou can always make up for it. In addition, her pheromones have formed a pheromone network among the black soldiers. So the opponent's movements and her own movements have become particularly clear in her eyes. Grabbing a black soldier and throwing him out, Apple Pie suddenly realized that she had actually broken through the encirclement. Ha ha! You can't stop me! Apple Pie screamed wildly, leaving the ordinary black soldiers behind her, who were not as fast as her. The black soldiers naturally accelerated to catch up. But they were ordinary black soldiers, and their physical fitness was inferior to Apple Pie. So they could only chase farther and farther away. And they kept aiming at Apple Pie from behind and shooting. But Apple Pie kept changing her steps. And white rays of light illuminated the night as bright as day. But they still couldn't hit Apple Pie. Apple Pie, leave the battlefield. Apple Pie, leave the battlefield. All units please come to support. Coordinates. The black soldiers saw that they could not catch up. So they could only inform other black soldiers, who were close to come to support on the channel. But what they didn't know was that their communication could also be heard by Da Vinci. So Zhu Shizhou relayed, Apple Pie, turn around. Don't get close to the coordinates XXXX. There are black soldiers ambushing there. Understood. Apple Pie turned around immediately. This move made the black soldiers behind him look confused. And they immediately reported a new point on the channel. But Apple Pie turned again. The black soldier, who was responsible for reporting the situation on the scene, was stunned. Report? There is a traitor. Their channel can access the black soldier channel of the entire manor. And Apple Pie's several turns can only prove that there is a traitor among them. There is no way to ambush Apple Pie in advance, unless there is another large number of black soldiers in front of them to form a larger encirclement. Otherwise they can't stop Apple Pie from leaving. Just when they thought so, Apple Pie was secretly happy. Suddenly, 2 pheromones were heard not far ahead, which were no less powerful than those of Apple Pie after the pheromone explosion. Pheromone explosion of elite black soldiers? Apple Pie's face changed. And what was even worse was that she also sensed that the forces of the 2 teams of black soldiers were dispersed in front. Zhu Shizhou, speak. Apple Pie was mad. Zhu Shizhou said leisurely, don't worry. They are our own people. When Zhu Shizhou spoke, Apple Pie could already see the 2 elite black soldiers leading the way. She recognized them. They were Guya and Qiuyu. Guya raised his hand and fired a shot from a distance. A white laser shot towards her. Apple Pie turned her head away narrowly. The hot air burned the deadly breath of death beside her cheek. Damn. He shot her in the vital part at the beginning. You tell me this is one of our own? How can this be one of our own?